Hey, welcome to Blue Heron Homestead. I want to thank you for joining us today. I've been doing a little bit of thinking, and something I've noticed is online there are a lot of channels that have the name Homestead. And that can range all the way from people who just basically have a half-acre yard, a quarter-acre yard, and that's where they've set up their homestead, and they're just trying to implement the principles of a simpler life. And then I see people who have just straight out estates, and these things, I mean, they're massive. It's just nothing but a complete off-grid, off-living system, so that if the apocalypse happened tomorrow and nobody told these people, they wouldn't know. Well, we're somewhat in between. We live in a rural area, as you can tell, out here, and this is a place that different members of my family have been in this area for the last 200 years. Not all of them, but some of them. And it's just kind of where life has put us, and we're just walking each day fresh and new, trying to discover what that road looks like. And that's what we want to share with you. And when we show you stuff, I don't want you to get the idea, well, oh, that's way bigger than I can do. One of the biggest principles we'll talk about later is simplicity. And with simplicity, we want something to be attainable. So we're showing you what we've done, but these are projects that we've been working on for years. I mean, we've been at this location living here for 16 years, and really over the last 5 years, we have been since 2020, so almost 6 here, we've been doing a lot of changes on this place, and our whole mindset changed back in 2018, but that's beside the point. Come with me. I want to show you our spring garden tour. We don't yet have the garden, but don't you just love flowers like this? The apple trees are blooming here. This is our little Anna apple, and I just love this. This isn't really a garden, but it's part of the homestead experience. So come with me. I want to point out our weedy bed here that we haven't gotten to yet. Over here, our potatoes, that they're coming out. The cold burned them off severely, but they're coming out since we haven't had a chance to replant. I'm just excited to see the potatoes are growing back, so we're really happy about that. Things are a little messier than I'd want them to be. I've got a tree here I'm transplanting up. This is a beautiful tree. We got the seed from Key West, Florida, or not from Key West, from the Florida Keys. They grow down there everywhere. It's similar to a mimosa, but with red flowers. Got a little white oak, the Norfolk pine from Christmas. We haven't made up our mind what to do with yet. Isn't that crazy? And here we have a little mimosa tree I grew from a seed. That's coming, but just look around and you'll notice how, we've got the mulch piled up for spring. We've got the potting soils here ready to go. But as we come into the greenhouse this morning, it is, let me make sure I've got this right. It is 62 degrees outside, so a nice good temperature. So come on in, we'll give you a tour. Now, this greenhouse took me longer to build than it did our house. We probably took a couple of years on and off working on this, and we still work on it. You're never done on a homestead. But I want you to understand, when you garden, a lot of stuff in life is about the aesthetic of it. You want some place that is beautiful. When we created this, we didn't say just, oh, I need a commercial grade thing I can get in. We wanted to add our own touch, work with the resources we have, and this is a living space. It's a place that in summertime, when it's scorching hot and it's 105 degrees outside, you can come in, it's a little bit cooler. It's a place where in the wintertime, if it's 25 and the wind's ripping at 30 miles an hour and you've got cabin fever, you can come outside and no wind in here, 55 degrees if the sun's out with no heat. And so this is kind of what we've been looking at when we do this. Create a good living space. And we want to grow our own food in here, but also have a place that you know, we can just relax and unwind. So let me start out over here on this wall. We have one of our spearmint beds here. This is just something that my wife makes tea with this continually, and it's wonderful. We originally had chocolate mint here, but it died outside, so we brought it in here, and this is just a wonderful thing. Look over here, we just took a bunch of old winches that were used on a poultry farm. We've got stuff where we can just raise if we need a little bit of airflow, but not enough to break plants over. Come around, as you see here. This area is a work in progress. This is my power control center where we've placed everything. I like the aesthetic here. A few stories. This piece on the wall, this came off of my grandfather and grandmother's house. He died in 1975, but this was just a shutter that he handmade from a simpler time, and it has Proverbs 21:21. It says, "He who follows righteousness or tries to do right and be merciful finds life, righteousness, and honor." And I love that. We have these. Are these Tiffany lamps, honey?
Tiffany lamps.
We purchased a couple of these in Havana, Florida, and we have one here and over the back table. I think we paid like $30 a piece for these, so it was a really good deal. And I was surprised one day. I was back in that antique store, and they had a display in their Southern Living had come, and they had actually featured these. So these little Tiffany lamps have been featured in Southern Living magazine. Not that that matters, but I just thought it was a neat story. Now this is something old. This is a sink that my great uncle had at his farm, and he used to have this little house that he would had a screen room, a place to fish and eat with family, and a table. And notice these rusted spots. These are places that he would clean fish, and he was one of those men that would just slay the fish. He would come home with 40 or 50 fish. He'd probably bring in, I don't know, I wouldn't doubt 100 fish a week, and just eat with family, friends, have fish fries. Today we see all the large John Deeres. Back in the early 1900s, if you're planting grain on an area, this is something that you would use to scatter grass seeds. It used to have a strap. You can still see a piece of the cloth. Most of it has since been destroyed or rotted over time, but you would wear this over your shoulder, fill it with seed, and then walk, and this used to turn around and scatter seed. You get the idea. We've got all our aloe we grew from just a small piece of aloe we had years ago. Great for burns, great for just lots of uses of aloe. I won't get into that. A staghorn fern we picked up a few years ago. Now come over here. I don't know if you've met Pebbles yet. We need to get Pebbles something to eat.
Give her a collard.
No, Pebbles today
basil.
gets a little piece of basil. Let's go ahead and open up here. She was originally my son's bearded dragon. Here you go, Pebbles. She seems to like basil. And she was, you can get right here.
She's camera shy.
Yeah.
There she goes.
Yeah. But Pebbles, he had her in the house for a while, and then we decided we needed to give her a little more space, and we brought her out here. She gets to roam free in the greenhouse most of the time. And you say, well, she eats your seedlings, but when you feed her basil, what do you expect? Well, Pebbles is going to go around and she'll just chomp down on my food. So I need these plants to get a little more mature than they are now. So this is where she stays when we put fresh seedlings out. But all right, as we come around here, we'll do a video on these. We built these with a Coca-Cola bottle, a heat gun, and a piece of PVC pipe that we repurposed. But these work great. I've had these full of strawberries in the past, but I didn't really like the way they produce strawberries. I think they're doing just marvelous with the spearmint and the herbs. We decided this year to bring onions into the house as well. Get rid of that later. We have cilantro. Everything
That
in here
cilantro I make a cilantro lime rice, and I made some last night. It was delicious. And as far as the onions go, when we get done with this video, I'm gonna have him chop some of these tops for me because I want to dehydrate them for different recipes. So I'm super excited about doing that. I bought me a nice little dehydrator a few months back to use for my herbs.
I can't remember the onion types, the name. We just have red onions and yellow onions, no white onions here. Up here, thyme. We have this little basket, one little piece of thyme. We keep it watered, and we have an abundance of thyme growing up here. This is our oregano. And I want to do a little more work here, but all the Greek oregano is on the top, and the Italian oregano is at the bottom, and I need to prune this.
Well, we're still eating through what I've dehydrated. Yeah. But pretty soon I can dehydrate some more, and we can eat through that too with different dishes. So.
And this is, you can tell the difference with the larger leaf is the Greek, the smaller leaf is the Italian oregano. We've tried this year doing strawberries, and this is a first for us at this level. This is something, most of these are ever bearing, a few of these are June bearing, and we grew these out. We just ordered little sprouts from Amazon. We picked some up at Lowe's and Walmart, and I wish I could remember which was bad, but the Amazon ones have probably been our absolute best. But we just took these, planted them in little pots, and then transplanted them here after they.
And regarding the strawberries, we are going to mulch that. We just have got to get some mulch. We got to get somewhere, but our work schedule's been crazy lately. Yeah. But as soon as we can, we're going to get some to the store and get some mulch.
Something I've found about a lot of plants, most people buy these every year, put them in a pot, and they die. This is rosemary. Rosemary is a plant that can live for years. If you have a place you can put it permanently. Just touching it, I smell it. It's, I guess it senses me, but you get that good hint of rosemary, if you will. But these plants, I was watching a video a while back, and somewhere in Europe there was a monastery. They had a rosemary plant that they claimed to be around 100 years old. I don't know if that's true, but I do know it'll live a lot more than 1 year. So just something to think about in the long run. It saves you money. We've got more spearmint here growing, more strawberries. This is something I'm kind of excited and disappointed about. I've mentioned our pineapples. Over the years, we have grown them, and we had this one cold snap the night the heater died on the coldest night. And of the casualties, I had one massive pineapple, my biggest one, ready to put out a pineapple, and it died. All the pineapples around it didn't, but that one died. Now, if you look up around the top here, you'll notice we have a lot of license plates. We do this kind of to remind ourselves that, we love our little corner of Southwest Georgia, but there's a lot more to life than just Southwest Georgia, even though it's a great place to live. And we have something from a tag from every state in the U.S. I have one around here from one Canadian province. I don't know, I'll have to find, British Columbia, there it is. We also have tags up from the U.S. Virgin Islands and the Bahamas, so places that we might have been outside of the U.S. Haven't been to the Virgin Islands yet, but it's on my list. But it's just a little way of saying, this is kind of where we've been. So hopefully we'll have pineapples. Now here's one of my casualties, I'm afraid. This massive stalk is our passion fruit plant. I was so looking forward this week to having, to having passion fruit. It was growing last year, and we figured out how to get this trellis around back. It was covered with passion fruit, but we had an early frost this year, a month earlier than last year, and all my passion fruit died when we had that hard freeze in late October this year. Normally, the year before, it was after Thanksgiving before we had a hard freeze.
Yeah, our weather patterns are definitely changing here. It's kind of weird. Yes. So, definitely changing.
If you watched our video on growing tomatoes and stuff, you'll see some peppers and tomatoes we have for seedlings. just to let you know, the ones that are the biggest, that's your Coco Loco. Your Miracle Grow, it just did not cut it. It would not compare to Coco Loco. It didn't matter what we had. Now right here behind you, we've got two fresh transplants. We have a jalapeno pepper and a Bonnie green bell that we purchased. You can see these are well ahead of the seeds we started some time ago. This is I believe a burpee jalapeno from last year. This was an extremely good plant. The cold knocked it back, but here it is coming out doing well. So I'm excited about that. I like peppers, but this is the thing with me. I like hot peppers, sweet peppers, flavorful. I don't want a pepper that is like, for instance, a habanero. I'm not the guy to sit around eating habaneros all day, okay? And the ghost peppers, you can just keep your ghost peppers. I want a pepper. To me, I love a jalapeno popper, but that 8,000 Scoville units, that's about as much as I want. Interesting thing too, I've been told the reason some jalapenos are hotter than others, if the plant is well watered, it won't be as hot as one when it's dry. The heat intensifies somewhat. Once more, we've got our peppers here, our tomatoes. These really are close to the time they need to go in the ground. Here's where my issue is. Now, we're working on a fence, and you know, we do have to work, not just do videos. So when I've got a fence I need to build, and after that, I need to have a new set of raised beds for the tomatoes. These bin rings are great, but these tomatoes are indeterminate. So I want something low to the ground. I don't want something high up that starts here, because these tomatoes can run 8 foot tall. So keep that in mind. These are our collards. They're looking a little better. We did a thorough clipping of the collards. We sprayed them, and I'll show you what we used in a minute. It was more of an organic spray, not, we try to avoid stuff of that nature. Organic spray, I'm not sure, a more healthy thing.
It's neem oil, yeah.
Neem oil, yeah. So, this, check
We
out the
cooked
little
some Saturday night.
bird.
They were delicious.
My uncle is the one with the wood carving. If you saw that video, well, the log cabin, he made these. This is from a cedar tree. He just took the pieces, and for Christmas this year, he made every one a bird. So this is my little cedar carved hummingbird that my uncle made for us here. Really nice. All right, now look at this a moment. This is something that, you know, if you remember years ago when people would have a lazy Susan, well, we've got a lazy strawberry bed. What my goal is that we can keep this watered, and, you know, just when you've got a group of friends sitting around and there's a big strawberry sitting here, you know they're going to want to eat it. And so you just watch people to see how long before they reach out and grab that strawberry and eat it. And if they don't take the bait, I probably will. So that's just a neat idea. But we purchased these chairs a few years ago, and this table, and it's just, it adds to the moment. It gives you a way to sit, to just relax, to have a, what is the term? It's not a safe space. A place to relax. There we go. I don't know how I feel about the safe space, but that's another story. Over here, this is good news. You remember our carambola or star fruit that we had invested so much time and money in? Well, guess what? Even though it shed all the leaves, it has come back out. We're keeping it watered. We're keeping it fertilized. And I'm just really excited about seeing what this tree does. I want to be able to take the limbs and let them curve around like a horseshoe, so that when we come in here, that this tree, it's one of the few that we can actually plant in the ground. Mangoes and avocados would take some intense pruning, or you would have some issues, and I still may experiment there with some things, but I'm not quite there yet. So there's the carambola tree.
Look at my deal.
Yes.
That's so pretty. I love it. So excited. Can make some good potato salad using that as a herb. And the sage. That's a beautiful plant.
One thing about the dill, this was our first year growing that, and we can show you some more deal up here that it didn't do nearly as well. This deal, or what's left of it, and over here, this little clump,
Yeah.
they were all transplanted in cups at the same time. Well, what's the difference? That one was moved from the cup into the pot at an optimal time. As you look over here, you'll see we've got the flowers and collards, and these collards will actually, as odd as it sounds, these things can get up to 6 foot tall. I'm not sure how tall. I've found that typically around 5 to 6 foot they stop growing, but a lot of people just pick them when they're small. No, if you keep these leaves picked on a collard, they just keep right on growing. Now, I mentioned last year we had a dilemma with our tomatoes, and we're going to try everything known to man. We did a video about that earlier. We have these in the pots, but to start out, here's our lineup. We have a golden jubilee tomato, a yellow pear, and a lemon boy. I'm not sure if any of these are great tomatoes, but it's what we're doing. A little parsley in the middle here. We've got some basil and thyme growing. We've got a Black Prince heirloom tomato, a Parker's Whopper improved, and a Bonnie original down here. Never had a Bonnie original, but if they want to put their name on it, maybe it's pretty good. With our eggplants, we've got 2 growing here, an Ichiban and a Black Beauty. Now, if you look online and you see what they say with eggplants, everyone says this: oh, eggplants and peppers love sun. They can't get too much sun. I want to tell you, an eggplant can get too much sun. One reason I have these in pots, last year was a real learning year for us. If you put these in full sun when it's hot, they won't live. I moved them around to the shady side on the front porch with the greenhouse. They thrived. Then they cut out again due to me putting them too close to the eave and overwatering. But you know, stuff like that, there's a learning curve. No matter how many videos you watch, the only way you're going to learn what works best for you is to get out and start and try it.
And you can, I heard Jess one time from Roots and Refuge say she keeps a garden journal. So when she's experimenting with stuff, she'll write down what she has, what year, and then she'll write in there how well it did. So if it just flopped, you obviously don't want to waste your money and grow it and time and try to grow it the next year. So just, that's one way you can kind of keep up with what works and what doesn't. Sometimes we had one year we grew cabbage really well. A few years later, we couldn't grow it for anything. So sometimes it's just a game and a gamble, so to speak. But just, that's one way you can see what works and what doesn't, and how to document that and realize and know what to grow and what not to grow.
Right.
Anyways.
Well, over here too, tomatoes, to play on what Jamie said, we've had tomatoes up 8 foot tall coming over that bar and coming back down in the past, loaded with tomatoes.
Yep.
Last year, it was horrible. We couldn't get anything to work. This year, if it's as hot as it was last summer, I'm going to put shade cloth on the roof here.
Yeah, you probably need to.
Just because, something for you to know as well, we talk about being in zone 9A or 8B, but there's a lot of variation within these different zones. And I've lived in other places in zone 9A that, my garden experience was totally different. We've lived basically in 3 different regions or areas within 9A. And this is the hardest I've found to grow stuff. We lived at one time down in Jackson County, Florida, and my garden thrived when we lived in this area. We've also lived over in Escambia County, Florida, in a couple of places at the southern end of the county and further north. When we were at the southern end of the county, my garden really struggled a lot. But when we lived in the northern part, it just thrived. It was amazing, or central, I should say. So come around here, honey, and we'll see our lineup. We've got a Husky Cherry Red tomato. Typically, that's your go-to tomato here. If anything will produce, it should be a Husky Cherry Red. A Roma used to be a go-to. I just would produce Romas when nothing else. Early girls were my go-tos, but I want to show you something. These have plenty of water. They are like treated with finesse. As many early girls as I have grown over the years thriving. This is new soil here. Everything is right, but for some reason, how is the plant this tall and I'm just putting on blooms? Just a question. Some of you may know, you may see what I'm doing, and I don't know why, because for years I've grown these and they've been amazing, and now I see this. We've got a Cherokee purple here, and we've got a Better Boy. We try to keep the soil moist, but not oversaturated. I might have touched on our eggplants, I know I did, but the Black Beauty and the Itchy Vine. So you got to hear about my eggplants twice today. We'll come around here and kind of wrap this up. I'm not sure the varieties, but this is a white meated dragon fruit. We're going to do another video on this later. I'm going to show you how to build these, how to transplant. We're going to put a trellis on this. I actually came in yesterday and pruned some of the parts that sometimes you just look at something and you know that doesn't need to be there. If you're not sure, leave it, but if you know it's just out of the way, take it out. You don't need too much foliage. It takes away from your fruit.
And we have produced dragon fruit in here.
Yes. We have here our, oh, we got a phone call. I'm pretty sure I know who that is. But
let's see.
We'll hold on. You just get to hear our little dinging for a minute. We have our Cavendish, I believe this, no, not a Cavendish. This is a dwarf banana. I'd have to look. I forget the variety due to my phone. But anyway, we've had those. It's a dwarf banana. A real full-size banana won't grow in here. Our ceiling is 13 foot at the peak. And I've had bananas in trees, and they grow great until they hit that 13-foot mark, and it just creates a mess. So you don't want to do that. So what are we
Show me some of your stuff up there on the top of the door. Some of the
come around though. This is our red dragon fruit. This is a larger variety of the tree. Now I was watching Bluey with my daughter one time. Really? And they call these poinsettia trees. And it looked just like what we saw in Key West. If you know the name of this tree, I need to look it up from the Florida Keys. It's a beautiful tree with leaves like a mimosa. It will not live outside here, and it has beautiful red blooms. But we just put this one in a bigger pot. Last year, it just filled the whole front of the room. This year, this is going outside. We're trying something new I saw on Epic Gardening with our zucchini this year. I want to see how zucchini does growing vertically. You know, they've tried it, and zucchini won't produce in the greenhouse due to not a lack of pollinators unless I take my screens out. So due to the insect situation here, we don't really want to do that unless I unleash pebbles over there. Well, our tomatoes are growing good right here. We have a beautiful pineapple that needs to be down there with all the friends. It's lonely down here. Why did I put it there? I'm not sure. It's one of those ideas and things that you change. One little piece here, and I've started here, but I'll finish in this area. We have our cotton scales. This is from the early 1900s when every local person would come and they would pick cotton for the day, hand pick it. And at the end of the day, you would weigh your cotton. Most people would pick between 100 and 300 pounds of cotton per day. If you picked 300 pounds of cotton, you were busy. And this is a scale my father had from years ago for like selling grain to people. They would typically, I think, put it in 5-gallon buckets and weigh it out that way. Well, come on, we have a little more. I know it's a greenhouse tour, but I want to show you what we're doing. All right, here's Matthias once more. He gets the photo bomb. He's our blue-eyed cat, and Matthias' mom is a yellow cat. Corn has come up nicely. I've got a little bit I want to come in and add seeds. A few places didn't come up, and this has had some hard cold on it. You can feel the wind whipping through here. This is one reason we're doing our new fence. See, our trees are doing well. We've reworked this area. Do your photo bomb. There it is. But we're about to do another video on this, but we've got to come in, take our garden beds, clean them up. In the next couple of weeks, we want to try to get things planted out here. We're putting up a new fence. It's going to have wire on the back to hold the cows in, and then we're going to shift and do a wooden fence on this side. And the reason for that is because there's so much wind that rips through here, and we're just at a point that we really need something to block this wind and break it up for the sake of plants. We're going to add some more raised beds here that are lower to the ground. These will be for growing things like tomatoes, because as nice as this is for squash and melon beds and cucumbers and things of that nature, you know, a tomato that's 3 foot tall, that's not very tall. And you know, well, I'm 6'1", I can reach up to right at 8 foot from the ground. So we would have a little short 4 foot tomato here if we put them here. So that's just no good for us. One thing about tomatoes out here though, they're always an annual outside, only perennials when they're inside of a greenhouse. So here it is, and I want to thank you today for watching Blue Heron Homestead. And you know, this is the scale of what we've built over 16 years of living here. But you know, this isn't where we started. We've done it time and time again. So whatever you're doing, do something. Get out, just take a corner of your yard. And I've had people say, I don't have the space for this. Our whole homestead's 2 acres in this area of yard here. If I just look where this greenhouse is, if you've got a ½ acre yard, chances are, I mean, well, let me put it this way. The entire area that we're on right here is about 100 foot deep and 100 foot wide. And that includes our entire complete garden area with trees. So if you've got 100 by 100 or less than that, you've got space to do something. Turn your backyard into your own oasis, into your little personal paradise. Work with the climate so you can extend your growing season and just use your imagination. I look at it this way: God created us in His image, and that means in His likeness. Look around. Tell me that God is not a God of beauty when you see all this. And there are theological discussions that could be had here, I understand. But beauty is one of the characteristics of God. And as people, you know, let that artistic beauty come out. Plant something, do something, make something, build something, and just let life turn your life into something that is life-giving, not just life-taking. And with that thought, we'll close, and thank you for watching Blue Heron Homestead.